This video today is made for two types of people, those of you who are not technical at all, and those of you who are technical but don't care about web design, CSS, JavaScript, HTML, or anything related to frontend. As you see in the title, we're going to build our own website using a coding agent. However, this video is not going to be just about prompting. The video is not going to be just me interacting with Claude Code. We're actually going to go through the full process of coding the thing, deploying it on a server, and also installing HTTPS or setting up HTTPS. So the goal of this video is to show you how to start from scratch without even having to code anything yourself, how to create your own website, how to deploy it, and how to get it up and running with a secure connection. Now, if you like this video and you get value out of it, let me know by hitting a like button and subscribing. And now let us get right into it. Alright, so we're going to learn how to quickly, efficiently, and easily create our own personal website using coding agents in this video today. As I said, we're not just going to do prompting, we're going to go through the full process of creating the application, dockerizing it or containerizing it, deploying it, and also adding a secure connection. The only thing we're not going to do is we're not going to use a domain. We're not going to attach a domain just because I didn't want to buy one, but that's a simple step that you can add afterwards. We're going to go through the full deployment process up until the IP address and the certificate. So let me briefly talk about the stack here, the tools that we're going to use today. The first thing you need is a coding agent. Pick the one that you're most comfortable with, Claude Code, Codex, OpenCode, that's up to you, but we're going to use a coding agent to do the development for us. The only thing that we're going to tell it is that we want to use Astro.js just because this is a nice JavaScript framework for static content-driven websites, so we're going to enforce that. We're also going to tell it to dockerize the application, so to turn it into a container so that we can then easily deploy it onto hosting.com, which is going to be what we use for the VPS hosting with root access. For the sake of transparency here, they're sponsoring this video today. You will find them at the link in the description down below. This is where we're going to do the deployment. Afterwards, we're going to also use Certbot to get Let's Encrypt certificates or a Let's Encrypt certificate to have a secure connection. So that's the pipeline here. We start with a coding agent. I'm not going to cover the setup of the coding agent. I just assume that you have either Claude Code, Codex, or OpenCode on your system. Just make sure to download it for your respective operating system, start it, connect to your subscription in the case of Claude Code or OpenCode Go. Whatever you have, connect to your subscription and start a new project. I'm going to show you how to do that. But besides that, this is the step. Astro.js, Docker, hosting.com, Certbot, and Let's Encrypt. So let us now get started with the actual development of the website. For this, I'm going to open up a terminal. I'm going to navigate to my tutorial directory where I want to be working. And here now I have to run the command to create an Astro project. Just go to astro.build and you can copy this npm create astro at latest. I like to use pnpm, but basically the same idea. We're creating an Astro project. I like to do that before we get started with the actual coding agent, just so we can provide a framework here. We can provide the basic idea. I'm going to call this personal website. This is going to be the project name. I'm going to go with the default template here, the basic helpful startup project. I'm going to install the dependencies. I'm going to not initialize a new GitHub repository. And that's basically it. Now it's going to install the dependencies and create the project. All right, so our project is now created. We can go here to personal website. And in here now, I want to start an instance of my favorite coding agent. Now that's not exactly right. My favorite is actually Pi or OpenCode, but I have to use Claude because it's just the most capable as of right now, even though today Kimi K3 was released. So let's see where that goes. But I'm going to start Claude here and I'm going to tell it to create a website. Now, there are certain things that you need to provide, and those are, first of all, the idea for the design, and second of all, you also want to have the assets. So if you want to include some logos, if you want to include a picture of yourself, you need to provide these things. So in my case here, I'm going to keep it super simple. I'm going to have a profile picture.png. This is not me. This is an AI generated guy. So yeah, just so we have someone here, I'm going to take that picture, either copy or cut it, go to the directory, and then you can go to source, assets, and here you want to put the pictures that you want to use. Not just the profile picture, but also all kinds of logos and assets that shall be used in this website. And now we can talk a little bit about the idea. That is, of course, up to you. You just have to put into words what you want to design. In my case, I'm thinking about something like having my picture here, then having a slogan here, a smaller slogan here, then the next section, what I offer, maybe with, or the principles, what my principles for working are, with some icons, with some text, very generic in this case, I know, but you can be creative. Then maybe the skill sets I offer. So that should be 5 of these points here maybe. So maybe something like this. what do I offer, what kind of skills, and then I want to have a final get in contact where someone can press a mail button or something. So super minimal. I'm just providing here something so that we have a guideline. I'm going to try to articulate this. So I'm going to tell Claude Code, look at this Astro project. I want a personal website. Use the profile pic PNG provided in assets. I want multiple sections. First shall be the profile picture on the left, and on the right I want a big heading that says Mike Smith AI, a subheading with the slogan AI ML engineering done right. Then I describe here the 3 icons that I want to say reliable, efficient, and cutting edge. Then I explain what these mean. Then I say here that what I offer is the next section with 5 different points here. I'm going to offer ML ops, agentic systems, fine-tuning, RAG pipelines, and compliance checks. Then I explain the layout of these. Finally, a get in touch section with mail and LinkedIn buttons, and I tell it to alternate the colors. So I want to have navy blue, dark navy blue, then I want to have white, again, navy blue, white. This is how I describe the website. It's probably not going to be perfect the first time, but I'm going to just provide this now and it's going to implement it. And there you go. I didn't even have to do anything. I pressed enter, I think 2 or 3 times to run some build commands. And now we have the website being created. Now let's see if that's actually a good website. So I'm going to leave the coding agent now. We're going to say pnpm astro def. Or in this case, now I need to do astro or pnpm astro def stop because I think Claude Code started an instance. So let me just restart that. And this should allow me to open it in the browser, which I can do now. There you go, Mike Smith AI, AI ML engineering done right, reliable, efficient, cutting edge, what I offer, and get in touch. Now, if I want to, I can now start adding stuff like maybe I want to have buttons that scroll down. Maybe I want the sections to fill the whole page. You can customize this. I don't want to make this a prompting tutorial. You know how to talk to your coding agent. The only thing you need to do is you need to go back and forth talking about what you want to change here. Again, this video shall not be about prompting. This is just a small part. The actual part where you need a tutorial like this one potentially is with everything that comes afterwards. Now we have the application here. What do we do as a next step? And what we're going to do first is we're going to Dockerize this whole thing. So I'm going to create 2 things. On the one hand, a Docker file and also a Docker Compose file. Now in the Docker file, we want to use 2 images. On the one hand, the image for Node, so for the actual web application here, but also we want to use Nginx so we can expose this on port 80, so we can host this on port 80. So I'm going to start here by saying from node 22, or actually node:22, and now I need to look up the name again. It was bookworm-slim, and we're going to give it an alias here as built, because we need to reference it when we do the next from statement, or when we go to the Nginx section. So then we're going to say working directory is going to be /app. Let me also go full screen. Then we're going to run the command corpack enable, and we want to use pnpm, so we need that. Then we want to copy everything, so copy ... and then we want to run pnpm install, so run pnpm install -- frozen -log file, and also pnpm build. By the way, this is stuff that you probably also can do with your coding agent, so you don't have to type that manually. You can also just ask your coding agent to wrap this into a Docker Compose setup so that you can easily serve this. And now for the second part here, we need to say from Nginx, and the version I want to use here is 1.27 Alpine. And here we're going to do a copy command. This is now important, from equals build. So this is why we need to give an alias to the first from statement here. And we want to copy app dist to user share Nginx HTML, and then expose 80. We're going to serve this on port 80. Now we can close this, and we're going to go to the next file, which is a docker-compose YAML. By the way, I'm not going to show how to install Docker here. This is on the one hand not too difficult, but also I'm going to show you how to do that on the server. So I am going to cover actually the Docker setup, but not here locally. So on your system, you don't even need it. You just need to write the file, and then you can upload it to the server. But we're going to define services here. The first service is going to be web. It's going to build the current directory. Then we need ports. Ports are going to be 80 being mapped to 80. So put that in quotation marks. And then the restart policy will be unless stopped. Super, super simple. And you can test this locally if you have Docker. You don't need to test this locally. Docker Compose built. Okay, so we have a problem here that it says if you're running pnpm in CI, so continuous integration, set it to true if it's not interactive basically. So maybe we need to adjust that. Let's go to the Docker file and set env CI equals to true. And also maybe we should have a Docker ignore file. So .docker ignore, and you want to have node modules dist.astro and also .git. Just the usual stuff. Let's try Docker Compose build again. And there you go. Now it succeeded. Let's go then with Docker Compose up. And this also works now because you can see here that I'm on localhost port 80, so the default post, and I can see the same website. So this succeeded. We don't have anything with HTTPS yet, but we're going to take that version and push it to a server. We're going to upload it to a server. But for that, of course, we first need to set up one. So for this, we're going to go to hosting.com. We're going to go to hosting and servers, VPS hosting, root access. This is basically a Linux server with full terminal control. We're going to scroll down and you can either go with the VPS XS or VPS S plan. I'm going to go with VPS S, so you can go to buy now. And then you just have to provide some information. So I'm going to go here with a 1-year term. I'm going to go with Ubuntu Linux, so Ubuntu 2404 LTS. I'm going to go with Frankfurt as the location. You don't need to provide a host name if you don't want to. Then we can go add to basket. And here now you can provide information like Florian, Dedoff. Then let's go with social, neural9.com, and some password. Then I can continue. This brings me then to the next page here. Here we can choose a country. In my case, that is Austria. So I can scroll up, Austria. So you provide your billing details, you choose a payment method, and then what you can do is you can add a voucher code. As you can see, there's already a 50% discount applied automatically. You can see here how it's deducted. In addition to that, you can get an additional 15% off by adding the voucher code neural9. So just by typing neural9 here, you will get even less that you have to pay. So another $80 were removed. Then you can just place the order and get the product. Now, the first time you log in, you will have to go through a setup. Just choose a host name and click on confirm. And once everything is set up, you will find your server down here. In my case, now I called it Neural9 website. So you can just go to manage. And what you need to do is you just need to connect via SSH to the IP address using the user root and the password that is shown here at the bottom. So you just have to copy it, or you can also show it and then copy it manually. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a terminal. I'm going to type SSH root at, and then I'm going to copy the IP address. I'm going to then say, yes, I accept this. And I'm going to also copy my password. I'm going to paste it here. And then there you go. Here I am in the server. Now, in order to actually get the website onto the server, we can use different tools. You can, for example, have a Git repository that you push into, then you can pull on the server. You can use SCP. I'm personally going to use rsync. This is just what I prefer here. It's a command line tool. If you need a TLDR here, rsync basically works like this. There you go. This is the full screen version, transfer files and also directories, and you just provide the path to the source and the path to the destination. That's basically it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my tutorial directory and I'm going to say rsync-avz. I'm going to say -- progress, and I'm going to upload the personal website to root at 208.116.1997. That is your IP address. Then :/, and then basically the path. In my case, I'm just going to go to root personal website, and this is going to upload this to the server. Again, I have to provide the password, so just copy this again, paste it here, and this will upload my entire directory with everything in it to the server. So there you go, everything transmitted. I can go now back to the server. I can do an ls to see that the personal website is here. I can go into that personal website, again into personal website, and there I have my Docker Compose file. Problem, I don't have Docker on the system. Now, the easiest way to install Docker is to just Google Docker Ubuntu and to go to the installation page. Basically, you can just scroll down here to the respective commands, and then you can just copy paste them. So this is updating everything. I can just paste this here as a root user. It's going to update the packages. It's going to install the certificates. And once this is done, we can go and add the repository so we can actually download Docker onto our system here. And finally, we just do another sudo apt update. And then the command for the actual installation can be copied from down here. This will install Docker onto our server. So there you go. Now everything is on the server. All we have to do now is a docker compose up -- build. This is now going to download everything that we need, and it's going to serve everything on port 80. So there you go. It's up and running. And if I go back into hosting.com and just copy the IP address and go into the browser without the /24, I will get my website. However, the connection here is not secure. You can see there's no HTTPS, there's no certificate, but my website is online. If that's enough for you, congratulations, you published your website. But now we're going to also talk about the certificate and getting HTTPS running. Even if we're just working with an IP, then we only can do that short term. Long term, you need a domain, and you need to do that with your domain. But I'm going to show you how to do that also with the IP address. So let's Control-C out of the running instance here. And now we're going to create some directories first. I'm going to say make directory -p, and we're going to create certbot www, and also let's encrypt. So certbot is the thing that gets the certificate, that completes the challenge, and let's encrypt is the certificate itself, or the provider of the certificate. And what we need to do now to make certbot actually work is we need to create an nginx config file and provide the location. For this, you need to use some editor. You can either do that locally and then push it the way we did it with rsync or with a GitHub repo, whatever you want to do. Or you can use the editor on the server directly. So if you know, for example, how to use VI or Vim, feel free to use that. Otherwise, just edit it locally and upload the files to the same directory here. So we're going to work in this directory, and we're going to create an nginx.conf file. Here I'm going to say server and then curly brackets. I'm going to say listen 80. I'm going to say server name is _ the root directory is going to be user share nginx html, and then we need to provide a location for the challenge. So I'm going to copy paste this here. This is just location, and then /.well-known ACME challenge, and then we need to say root var www certbot. Then for the rest of the traffic, we're going to say location /, and here we're going to say try files $URI $URI / and then as a fallback /index.html. So that is going to be our nginx config. Just make sure to close everything. And we also now need to adjust our Docker file. So in our Docker file, on the one hand, I want to expose 443 for HTTPS, but I also want to copy the config file. So I actually want to say copy nginx.conf, then etc nginx conf d default conf. So we're just overriding the config here. And now, important for this to actually work, we also need certbot itself. I'm not going to install it here as an application on the server directly. We're going to include it into our Docker Compose setup. So we're going to add an additional service here. We're going to call this service certbot, and the image is going to be certbot /certbot, and then latest after a colon. And then we need to map some volumes here, or directories, pseudo volumes. Certbot -www, the directory we just created, is going to be mapped to var www certbot. We also want to have the same volume, by the way, for our web application. So I'm going to put this here, but with the important difference here, I want to have it read only. So RO. And then also I want to have the let's encrypt directory, and that's going to be /etc /let's encrypt. And for both of these, don't forget the initial dash, otherwise the format is incorrect. Same goes also for the volumes here, or for the volume here. That is now the change to our Docker Compose file. Now all we have to do is we have to say Docker Compose down to remove the current instance, and then Docker Compose up -- build again. Then we can detach by pressing D, and then we can also run now using Docker a command to see the version of the certbot, because the IP HTTPS version is only supported since 5.4. So Docker Compose run, and then --rm certbot --version. And in this case, I got 5.7, so that is okay. That is new enough for this to work. And now we're going to run a pretty big command, which I'm going to copy paste because I don't want to waste the time typing out everything here, but I'm going to explain what we're doing. We're running certbot, cert only. We're getting a certificate. The profile here is short-lived because that is the only thing supported for the IP address. Remember, we're applying HTTPS now to a specific IP address, not a domain, so we need to choose short-lived. We provide the IP address here. We provide certificate name, also the IP address. email. Just pick any email that you want to be using here, agree to the terms of service. And when we run this now, this is going to request a certificate. In this case, I think I have a typo in my Docker Compose file because, yeah, there you go. We have certbot and we need to have certbot, and I have it also up here. So make sure that this is fixed. Now we can rerun this, or actually we need to say Docker Compose down first, and then I guess Docker Compose up again. And then we can run our fancy command after detaching. And there you go. You can see requesting a certificate for this IP address. Takes some time. And there you go. Successfully received certificate. Certificate is saved at Etsy Let's Encrypt, and then the full chain.pem, and then the key is also saved as private key.pem here. And it also has an expiration date, which is right now in 7 days. So now we're almost done. We have the certificate on our system here on the server, but how do we actually serve HTTPS? For this, we need to go and adjust our Nginx config again, because now we don't just listen at port 80, we actually listen on port 443 as well, so HTTPS, and we want to redirect the HTTP to HTTPS. So the redirect is super simple. All we have to do here is we have to return a status code 301, and we need to redirect the request to be the same request, but on the HTTPS version. So HTTPS : / and then the IP address, and then just $request _ URI. That just takes it and leads it to the HTTPS version. But now we also want to have a server listening on 443. So server listen 443. Server name again can be just an underscore. Now here we need to provide the path to the certificate and the key. So SSL _ certificate is going to be leaving to Etsy Let's Encrypt live IP address, and then full chain.pem. And we can copy that. SSL certificate key is going to be the exact same path, but it's going to be private key, so privkey.pem. And besides that, we're just going to copy from up here the root thing, and we're going to have the same that we had here before, which is going to be location / and then here we're going to say try files, and then URI / and then index.html, a slash in the beginning. And of course, don't forget the semicolon up here. And also don't forget the semicolon, of course, after the redirect. And here we need to say listen 443 SSL actually. And then one more thing, we need to map the Let's Encrypt also here for our web application so that we can actually access these certificates. So now let's go and say Docker Compose down, down like this. And then Docker Compose up -- build to see if this now serves HTTPS with our certificates. Okay, so this is running. Let's go into a browser. Let's paste our IP address, and there you go. You can see right now that the connection is secure. We're using HTTPS, and we have our website up and running. So this is how you can easily build your own website using a coding agent, and this is how you deploy it professionally using a Docker setup, Docker Compose setup, and HTTPS on hosting.com, who, as I said, are sponsoring this video. So make sure to check them out. Link is in the description down below, and you get an additional 15% off with the code Neural9. So that's it for this video today. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something. If so, let me know by hitting a like button and leaving a comment in the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to check out the sponsor of this video today, hosting.com. You're supporting the channel when you check out the sponsors of the videos here. Besides that, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell to not miss a single future video for free. Other than that, thank you much for watching. See you in the next video, and bye.